What if I told you that in a world seemingly governed by laws, fortunes can vanish with a single click, leaving no trace? Imagine a heist where the vault isn't made of steel but of code, and the thieves are invisible, operating in the shadows of the internet. This isn't fiction. It's the reality of one of history's most sophisticated cyber heists. A digital crime so secret, you've probably never heard of it. You haven't heard of it because for a long time, the victims went to extraordinary lengths to bury the truth. The year is late 2025. The world is riding a massive wave of digital transformation. Central banks are exploring digital currencies. Financial institutions are holding not just dollars and euros, but billions in rapidly appreciating tokenized assets. The value of purely digital wealth has never been higher. And where there is immense wealth, there are shadows. We often think of bank security as key cards and bulletproof glass. But the real vulnerabilities are in the code. In late 2025, one of the most secure, most highly regulated financial entities in the world discovered a terrifying truth. Their multi-layered, state-of-the-art defenses were utterly meaningless against an enemy they couldn't see. This is the story of Operation Silent Sweep, a theft so clean, so meticulously planned, it was almost considered an inside job. The initial breach was a textbook operation of patience and precision. A handful of key IT personnel received a seemingly harmless email containing a PDF file, a legitimate-looking contract. This single click didn't steal money. It simply installed a tiny piece of software, a nearly undetectable beacon. This began the dwell time, the period of deep, forensic espionage that defines sophisticated cybercrime. For nearly 7 months, the attackers were ghosts in the machine. They didn't touch the funds. They didn't trigger alarms. They simply mapped the network, studied traffic patterns, found the single administrative account with unlimited transfer privileges, and learned the exact daily cycle of automated security backups. They were essentially living in the bank's digital walls, waiting for the perfect fleeting moment. The final stage was deploying the tool that would execute the crime. It wasn't noisy ransomware. It was a custom-built polymorphic piece of malware designed to look like routine network maintenance traffic. Its sole function was terrifyingly simple. Upon a preset time and date, it would activate the compromised administrative account, execute a series of pre-calculated transactions to external wallets, and then immediately wipe all local logs and destroy itself. It was the perfect digital time bomb, set for the moment the bank's security team was at its lowest staffing level. 2:14 a.m. on a Tuesday. At 2:14 a.m. the clock ran out. The transactions were fast, fragmented, and furious. The attackers executed over 2,000 separate small-value transfers across multiple asset classes. From tokenized bonds to stablecoins, it took them less than 18 minutes to drain the target accounts. The moment the funds hit the external wallets, the shell game began. The stolen assets were immediately poured into cryptocurrency mixers and tumbler services. These services break up the money, send it through hundreds of thousands of unrelated transactions, and then spit it out the other side into new, clean wallets, making the trail nearly impossible to follow. They then swiftly converted these tokens into untraceable privacy coins and leveraged complex, multi-jurisdictional exchanges. The trail, built over 7 months, vanished in less than an hour. The theft wasn't discovered until 8 o'clock a.m., when an analyst noticed an abnormal fluctuation in the institution's liquidity reserves. The initial reaction was disbelief, a systems error, a data glitch. Then came the horror. The logs were clean. The backup archives were intact, but their contents confirmed the transfer. It was like a physical vault being empty, with the cameras showing no one entered. The victimized entity, facing a complete collapse of public trust and regulatory scrutiny, made a calculated decision. Silence. The incident was contained, the losses quietly absorbed, and the global financial community was kept entirely in the dark. They had to reverse engineer the self-destructing malware based on a single incomplete memory dump. They spent months tracing the flow of the initial social engineering email, a trail that eventually led back not to an obvious state actor, but to a seemingly innocuous hosting service in Eastern Europe. The sophisticated blend of digital obfuscation and rapid international routing proved to be the perfect shield. Today, Operation Silent Sweep remains one of the most frustrating cold cases in cyber history. Who were the masterminds? Experts believe it was a highly organized criminal syndicate, possibly state-sponsored, due to the sheer cost and sophistication of the zero-day exploit used. What was the full extent of the loss? And why did it stay secret? Because for a major financial institution, admitting they lost billions to an invisible thief is far more damaging than quietly writing off the loss. It proved that the greatest vulnerability isn't necessarily a firewall, but patience. Companies realized their biggest defense needed to be not detection, but segregation. Slicing up the network so a breach in one area doesn't grant access to the crown jewels. Actionable tip 2. Enable hardware 2FA. Use a physical security key, like a YubiKey, for your most critical accounts, like banking and email. Zero-day exploits thrive on old, unpatched software. The world's wealth is increasingly invisible, and so are the thieves. Have you ever wondered about other famous cold cases in the digital world?